I want to talk about this story. Super fascinating, super interesting. I did some original reporting on it today. But yesterday in Santa Maria, California, we're an agricultural valley in northern Santa Barbara County. We had a farm worker strike. This all happened within one day yesterday, where indigenous farm workers, they walked off the job in Santa Maria. Here they are talking to, there was a bunch of social media posts, and here they are at the fields talking about it. And so I reached out to some of these organizers with this group, MyCop. This is the Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Protect. So it's Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Protect, MyCop, MICOP, and they specifically, support organizing and empowering indigenous migrant communities. But specifically, yesterday, what happened was the workers for, I believe it's called Hilltop Produce. Here's I saw this Instagram post from MyCop. It started when a woman named Guadalupe Duran, I believe. I interviewed two of the organizers, and I'll share some quotes from them in a bit. But what happened was this woman named Guadalupe approached the supervisors for this company, Hilltop Produce, and she asked them, if you don't know, a lot of farm workers get paid by the box of produce that they harvest. And they were getting paid $1.85. $1.85 for one box of produce. You can imagine how much they actually end up selling that single box to, the lot price they get on that single box to, whatever distributors or, supermarket companies and whatnot. And then, of course, how much it ends up getting sold for. One box, $1.85. One bag of romaine lettuce is like $3-4, right? So go follow MyCop on Instagram. This is how I learned about this. So what happened was this woman asked for a lot raise of per box from $1.85, I believe, to $2 even. Like it's 15 cents a box, right? And they said no, and they fired her. Okay, I was not able to track down the company, but I got to confirm all this stuff. I doubt they would give me comment. I will reach out to them. I'm gonna do a written article about this on my website, politicalpain.com. So I will try to reach out to them. In the meantime, I wasn't able to find their information. I did this really quick today. I talked to two different organizers, and they both showed up. And what you're seeing here is the workers, the farm workers, who are majority indigenous, Mixteco. So they don't. A lot of them, like, Spanish is not their first language. They speak an indigenous language. This woman, Guadalupe, who was fired after asking for an increased wage, she was being bullied by management for the way she spoke Spanish. And so she asked for a raise for everybody, or maybe just for herself. I'm not sure. She asked for a raise, and then she was fired. So everybody walked off the job, or they went to the supervisors and said, "Hey, man, that's not right." And they said, "We're going to walk off the job." The supervisor said, "Well, go to the office, get your checks." That's what they did. And so they're all hanging out here, waiting to get their checks. And then organizers from MyCop showed up, and they said, hey, like, let's organize something more here. And so that's what they did. They kind of, circled the wagons, went to MyCop's offices, did a bit of planning. And this was when they started disseminating this information online. These workers do not have a union. So they do not have a labor union. They just all left the job in solidarity with Guadalupe. And then, so they did some organizing, And let's see, I have some quotes here from the two organizers. I spoke with Fernando Martinez, who's a MyCop community organizer, and Hedemias Salazar, who's a MyCop organizer as well. And so let's see. This all happened yesterday. So they got involved. Fernando told me, quote, "We wrote a letter, a call to action, asking the employer to increase the payment and improve the working conditions. They also asked for Guadalupe to have her job back. We reached out to the office to try to talk to the employer, but they wouldn't reply to us. So they returned to the office later to protest. And they started disseminating this stuff on social media. And so people started showing up before they were even, like people who weren't just these farm workers who work for this company. Other folks came out in solidarity. Hedemias said, I think around 3 o'clock and 3:30 people started joining. First there was one person, then three. Around 6 we saw about 80 people. Later it was maybe over 150 people showed up. And then at the end, so when they first started, walked off the job and started negotiating, the owners offered, or the management offered them $2, right? What Guadalupe originally asked for. And they said, no, you put us through all this. We're asking now for $2.10. So this is a 25-cent raise per box from 185, right? Am I doing the math right? Yes, I'm not a strong math guy. I'm a word guy, all right? And, and like I said, they have no union. Here's a quote from Hedemias. They're just a group of people who get along pretty well, so they support each other. Guadalupe Duran is her name. Since she's the one that started asking for a raise, then she got fired. That's when everybody decided to support her. And so, and like I said, she was being intimidated. Here's another quote from Hedemias. He says, it seems that Guadalupe, she hardly speaks Spanish, but when she's trying to speak about her rights, obviously she gets nervous and intimidated by people. When you speak in a second language and get intimidated, you get nervous. So that seems why people make fun of them when they are speaking up for their rights. They make fun of Indigenous people for speaking their language. Hedemias here, he grew up in Santa Maria Valley, Indigenous, and he said that's a very common experience. This guy, Luis Ortega on Instagram, he's Chicano and Mixteco. He showed up and he was posting about it as well. Here's like the letter, of them, what they were asking for. They were asking for $2.35. They landed on $2.10. And here is, they showed up at the fields to organize, and then they ended up showing up at the offices later. And here's the end of the story, guys. They got everything they wanted. They got $2.10 per box, and they got Guadalupe her job back. So Guadalupe is back with the company. They protected her employment. And they said, we want to be treated with respect. That was a big thing. Like, why are we being disrespected? We make all this money for this company. Why are we not getting treated with respect? Why are we being laughed at for how we speak Spanish? They know it's not our first language. One organizer told me that people were being called slurs, basically. Common slurs that Mixteco people are often discriminated against for their, because Spanish isn't their first language, right? So this, and Fernando, he said, he's been working with MyCop for a little while now, not that long, and he said, quote, Hedemias said, Fernando and I work on labor rights, and right now, Hedemias grew up in Santa Maria Valley, Mixteco, and he said, right now we're reaching out to the community on wage theft. It is something that's very common here in Santa Maria, so we are just empowering the community in Santa Maria to speak out, to say that this is happening, and we are tired of that. Most of the people that work in the fields right now are Indigenous, and they don't speak Spanish that well, so they get exploited, they get taken advantage of, because because they're indigenous, because of their language barriers. My cop, and here's the website again, everybody. Check it out. It's mixteco.org, mixteco.org. They serve Santa Maria Valley and Oxnard areas. And there's a donate button. You can donate to them. And they provide translation. They show people how to get involved, supporting, organizing, empowering Indigenous migrant communities. MyCop also has a radio station, which is one of the few media outlets in the area where Mixteco speaking people can get information and get news. And from the beginning of this pandemic, this is how I first came to know MyCop. They were releasing information about coronavirus, how to protect yourself, how to stay safe. And one of the complaints these strikers had was that they are not being given face masks. They don't have adequate social distancing during their work, and they don't have, like, the bathrooms and the water they're provided aren't, like, clean enough. They don't have hand sanitizer. All these issues that affect their safety as laborers. And anybody who lives in Santa Maria knows very well our farm workers are incredibly hardworking. It's backbreaking work. It's insane what they go through. And so, all solidarity with these people, and I'm really glad that they got what they were asking for. That's not a huge raise. The company might be arguing that, oh, this is going to really harm us and da 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 da. I'm sorry, but anybody who's taken any time to focus on the industry of agriculture in this area of California, the Central Coast. So let's take a look at the crop report. How about that? Every year, Santa Barbara County releases a crop report. Okay, this is the county, the agricultural. What do they call the department? So agricultural production report, agricultural commissioner, and the weights and measures. They release a report, and let's see here. They have the numbers. Right in the beginning of the report. So they will show you a lot of stuff, right? What each, like, look at this, 36% is strawberries, 22% other commodities, but you see how much is, wine grapes. Right here, 7% is wine grapes, nursery products, cut flowers, celery, leaf lettuce, head lettuce, broccoli, 5%, Now look at here. Top 10 commodities, guys. Strawberries in Santa Barbara County in 2019 alone, $571 million. $571 million. Wine grapes are over $100 million, $106 million. Agriculture is $1 billion industry in this county, in Santa Barbara County. That idea that farm workers and these indigenous farm workers can't make more than $2 a box is ridiculous. I mean, and this community is consistently, our indigenous farm worker community is consistently discriminated against in two ways. They face a double language barrier. Let's see. I want to read one last quote from Jeremias. Let's see. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find. He said, in my experience, I moved here in 93 when he was a kid. We were a very few indigenous kids who didn't understand Spanish or English, and we were put straight into English classes. And so, the Mixteco population in Santa Maria has grown, and so has the awareness around the issues they face with language barriers. And then this quote is also from Jeremias. Obviously, all they want to do is get a job and be treated right with respect. So that I think is very important. And for the indigenous population here to get so like the consistently get the short end of the stick, as economically, as far as services go. It's very hard for them to find information about services in their language. That's part of what MyCop does, is help them access whatever it might be. During this crisis, it's been unemployment and other means of support. California did start a fund for farm workers specifically, and undocumented people who don't have access to those programs. But also, I did this story. One of our first deaths in Santa Maria Valley was a farm worker. One of our first COVID deaths. Farm worker infected with coronavirus dies in Santa Maria guest worker housing. This was somebody in H-2A federal program, a guest worker program. Guys, this is my website, politicalpain.com. This is an original reporting I did. This was on July 7th. His name was Leo Begario Chavez Alvarado. He worked for Alco Harvesting. He died alone in a Motel 6. H-2A farm working, the way it goes is the farm companies supply the housing. And what was happening was farm workers were getting infected with COVID, and essential workers, right? And they were, a lot of folks and organizers I talked to at the time said that they weren't getting the PPE and other, these folks don't look that socially distanced to me right here, but so they weren't getting the protection they needed. And then if they were in H-2A, if they were getting infected, they were renting rooms at Motel 6. Literally blocks away from hospital. And yeah, and so and that's what was happening. Those infected were, quarantined at Motel 6 where this man died. And so that's what our indigenous population in Santa Maria has to live with, has to deal with. So solidarity with the workers, very happy. This all happened in one day. The Guadalupe was fired. They said, screw that. We're going on strike. And they don't have a union or anything. They were able to negotiate a better price, get her job back. And so I just think that's great. I have some comments here I don't want to ignore. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, hey, Debug. Hey, Debug. As someone that works the farmer's market, I would hope the people working in the fields get paid good. I honestly had no idea about this. Jay Coleman, America, Canada, and Mexico have betrayed their indigenous people. Absolutely. Bo, F, that's heartbreaking. God, with love and peace, screw some of these companies. These are wealthy companies, guys. Some of these are just millionaire companies. Like, I just went over the crop report, how much money. Bo, that's a great story, man. Company better pray we don't bring union people there. Yeah. With love and peace, I want to something that company down in a Minecraft game, not in real life. Yes. I just had to lay down this law on my Discord. We don't advocate for destruction of property. I'll report on it, but I don't advocate for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So. Evil Yoda, still pennies for all that labor. Yeah, absolutely. But at least they have an improvement. So that's the whole thing. You can push for improvements. It would be great if we had a whole other entire system. It would be great if we had Star Trek post scarcity, go up to the replicator and, push a button and you get fresh food and everything you need from it. But that's not the world we're living in, folks. We're living here and now. And so I'm glad that these folks collectively organized together, and we're able to get improvement in their conditions, in their pay, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard out here for people. So pay attention to politicalpain.com. I will be releasing a story in a few days. If you are familiar with WordPress, you can follow me, and when I post a new story, it will come up. You can also donate. I have a donate option. You can support local journalism by donating here at politicalpain.com. But remember, you can also donate on MyCop's website, misteco.org, so you can support them directly as well. You can support local Indigenous folk all up and down the Central Coast. You can support local journalism. That's me, Political Pain. But I appreciate it. Thank you for being here with me on the channel. And thank you for anybody who visits my website. I appreciate all of it. I appreciate the folks, Jeremias and Fernando with My Cop for speaking with me today. And you will hear more from them on this channel in the future. So we are going to try to hopefully have some of those folks on for the interview show. So if you don't know, I do this show every Friday. This is my live Let's Look at the News, Let's Talk About It show. Sometimes I might have some original reporting like this. Other times I'm just, just like any other Twitch, YouTube dude, I'm just goofing on whatever's in the national news. And I also do live interviews. So that's separate from the Friday show. Last interview I did was on Monday with Shane Patrick, who we talked about QAnon, conspiracy theory thinking, and some of its origins, what it goes back to. Also had on J. Andrew World, who's in the comments, talking about talking about his artwork and comic books and drawing the online left and a lot of fun stuff like that. Also had Jason Miles of the This Is Revolution podcast on here. We talked about true crime and just kind of culture and politics.